Hello everyone, Happy New Year's, and what better way to start the new year than with a funny meme? Finding out crush isn't straight. Finding out crush isn't cis. Finding out crush is anti-capitalist. And then we are critted with a great wall of text, bigger than the wall of China. So it's interesting to analyze the leftist meme because it's so different than all the other memes, isn't it? I mean, if I were to show you a meme right now, it would probably have one, maybe two lines of text at maximum, and it would make you fall out of your chair laughing. But at the same time, it would probably also be a YouTube terms of service violation. But why would my meme be like that? Well, my meme number one would be relatable. So it wouldn't need a lot of text for you to understand what it is. The fact that you would be laughing means that you would be inclined to share it. And finally, the joke wouldn't be the offensiveness of the meme. Because probably the person that the meme would be offensive towards isn't even in the conversation. The meme would be offensive towards how progressives would react to the meme. Like, for example, this one isn't very funny, but it illustrates exactly what I'm talking about. You don't need a wall of text. It's just the image, and people already know what you're talking about. It doesn't require any additional explanation. And then you have the Igzo Brandon call, which is funny because, number one, it shows how the mainstream media is lying to people, which is why they're upset. I mean, you had the race car driver and the crowd chanting the words behind him, and then the mainstream media is manipulating what the words are, pretending that the public doesn't notice, like trying to just cover it up in front of your own eyes. Very bizarre. And not only that, now the mainstream media is livid about this chant, and it's reacting in very bizarre and exaggerating ways, like on CNN saying that it's an attempt to get people to have an insurrection, or just the craziest things, like the most exaggerated overreactions, which is why it's funny. Because if they wouldn't over-exaggerate, if they wouldn't freak out the way they do freak out, then it wouldn't be funny. So the humor in the meme is the way you can even imagine how some people will exaggerate and how they will react to this, as well as the fact that it's relatable. You don't need a wall of text. Meanwhile, this one is completely unrelatable. I never lived through any of this type of experience. I don't know people that lived through this type of experience, and I'm willing to bet that if we had a survey or a poll, you'd find out that less than 5% of people probably even lived through this experience. I wouldn't be surprised if the number is smaller than that. So they need to construct this house of cards in order to get you in the correct mindset to understand what's going on here. And it's more like preaching, really. I think it's more like trying to indoctrinate people into that this is the correct way of thinking. It's not trying to be funny. It's not trying to be hilarious. It just tells you that this is the acceptable way of thinking. So if you deviate from this level of thinking, you may be ostracized from the community. If you criticize this meme, you out yourself as being problematic. So imagine on, I don't know, a Pokemon forum or something. Someone posts this meme. You're not allowed to criticize it. But if you criticize it, then you become the problem. So this is how leftist memes actually function. They post something bizarre just to see if you're going to disagree with. And if you disagree with it, then you're problematic and then you should be canceled. And this type of enforcement happens in small leftist communities. So again, think about a Pokemon forum, but you can think about a university group, or any type of leftist group, I guess, that is small and tightly enforced. Because you'll notice all of these progressive groups, they have very tight enforcement, very strong moderation. It's kind of bizarre because on one hand, they talk about how they want to liberate people. They talk about how you need to liberate yourself from capitalism, but they have incredibly strong enforcement in their communities. Very strong moderation, very bizarre when you think about it. But let's look at the wall of text, because the wall of text is also interesting. Finding out Urkrash has a comprehensive understanding of mental health, which permits you both to view your personalities and moods as more than just a set of symptoms or shortcomings, allowing you both to finally divorce yourself from capitalist notions of worth and stability that have convinced you that you are a burden, and allows you to foster a relationship based on mutual communication and support that acts of fortitude in this capitalist hellhole called life. So, first of all, I want to point out that capitalism is not a term coined by capitalist people. Adam Smith never used it. It's a term coined by the Marxists. So they are the ones describing what capitalism is. And capitalism is everything that's not what their La La Land thinks the world should be like. And the world should be like you, preferably not working or doing something very artsy, something that takes low effort, like writing poems, drawing art, and making a lot of money while doing it. And if you are not doing that, then it's because of capitalism. In reality, however, most nations around the world aren't capitalistic. Even the United States doesn't call itself a capitalist nation. It's a mixed economy. Most world economies have a mixture of welfare as well as free trade. So in reality, what they complain about capitalism is freedom. What they are saying is that if you allow people to be free, then they can't just pursue their dreams, which is to do nothing or write fancy poems. And it's very easy to prove that it's not capitalism that they have a problem with. It's the fact that they need to work that they have a problem with. So, for example, imagine a family that lives on a farmstead in the middle of nowhere next to Courage the Cowardly Dog. So they're completely isolated from society and they're completely self-sustained. Now, in that family, you have the father, the mother, and the child. So let's say that the child refuses to work. He refuses to go out and farm the fields. He refuses to feed the animals. He refuses to do anything. Do you think the father is going to be okay with that? Do you think the parents are going to be okay with that? Do you think the parents will just allow the kid to do nothing? And the answer is like maybe in the beginning, until he's like 18, maybe he's 20, 25, and he still wants to do nothing. Do you think the parents will put up with that? Is that because of capitalism, or is it because the parents don't want to work more to feed someone that doesn't want to contribute? I mean, we're talking about the perfect communist society here, like a family that's isolated in the middle of nowhere and self-sustained. And everyone has to do something in order to contribute. And then they share the resources, they share the wealth. This is like communism that can actually work, because communism does work when you're talking about very small groups. Even in that situation, they won't allow the child to do nothing. And by the way, Karl Marx himself doesn't support this ideology. This idea that you can just choose to do nothing so other people can do something for you. Even Karl Marx said, from each according to his ability to each according to his needs. Which means that you have an ability. And it's not you that will decide what your ability is. It's not subjective, because this is where postmodernism comes. Karl Marx wasn't a postmodernist. No, society will decide your ability. Oh, you're stuck in a wheelchair and you can't move? Well, that's okay. That doesn't stop you from working at a 24/7 and selling stuff to people. You don't need a lot of mobility to do that. It doesn't mean you can't be in an elevator in a hospital and press the button when the doctors with the patient come in. It doesn't stop you from doing that, does it? So why do you think you're going to end up writing poetry just because you subjectively think you can't do... No, the system that these people want isn't communism. In fact, the system that these people want is so evil that they don't want to articulate it. And is the reason why most people who read this meme get outraged. The system that these people want is slavery. You want to go back in time where you were maybe in the Roman Empire as a rich person who had slaves doing everything for him, and the rich person could focus more on writing poetry. Or maybe in a medieval time where you're part of the aristocracy and you have the peasants plowing the land. But even in the aristocracy, I guess they would have to pick up the sword and learn to fight from a young age. So that's probably not good enough. No, you just want slaves. That's what you want. You want to do nothing and have other people do stuff for you. You want to be on an island where you crash landed on a plane and other people are picking up the coconuts and are just delivering them to you. And you do absolutely nothing. And you justify doing the nothing by claiming you have certain issues or disabilities or whatever that can't be objectively tested, but other people around you should just acknowledge your subjectivity on them, take your word for them, and because of that, they shouldn't put you to work. Right? This is what they want, and this is why a lot of people are upset. And by the way, this is utopian. Like, nowhere in the history of mankind is such a system sustainable, except the one that I mentioned previously. But other than that, like, for the overwhelming amount of people, this system is not sustainable. No politician is going to deliver this to you. You may have politicians promising that they will give this to you, but in reality, it won't happen. Because most people, given a chance between working and making money or just doing what they want and make money, most people are going to choose to do what they want and make money. But unfortunately, you need truckers to run a society. You need farmers to run a society. And if they choose to just take money, well, you're not going to be able to do what you want in that case, now will you? And the government can print money, but they're not going to print grain. So there's that. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.